Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today on our Thursday webinar. Today is going to be week 3 of our 4-week series on our workflow workshop. The first week we went over creating workflows. The second week we went over building workflows into the Redtail system, and today we're going to be going over applying workflows. So honestly, I think the applying part is the best, my favorite part of it, because now we actually get to see some action of what the workflows actually do. So again, we're going to be going over 3 of the templates, those same ones that we actually built and created in the previous 2 webinars. So we're going to do an important information workflow, an onboarding workflow, and then a client touch workflow. And so I'm going to show you multiple ways that you can actually add these workflows in, and then we're actually going to go through and run through a whole workflow as well. So first off, what we're looking at right now is just the main today page, the landing page when you first log into Redtail. Over on the left-hand side, you're going to see the left navigation menu, and all the way on the bottom, we can click on Workflows. Once we click there, it's going to load up our Workflows page. And so this page is meant for just showing all of the active workflows that you currently have ongoing in your database. So right now, you're seeing there's nothing there, which is fine. But keep in mind, this is all the active workflows. So we built templates before. So we have 3 templates. But each of those templates can be used multiple times. So when you go to this page, and once you're actively using them, you can see upward of, however many workflows. So if you're currently onboarding like 15 clients, you'll see 15 onboarding workflows here. Or if you have like the important information, like so you've added some new clients as well, and you want to see those workflows, you'll see those input here. And so again, we're going to go through and actually add them into the database. So there's multiple ways, and we're only going to be covering manually adding the workflows today. And then next week, we're going to be over how to enhance those as well. So first off, to add a brand new workflow, we're going to go into the top right-hand corner, and we'll actually see the new workflow button. Once I click on that, you're going to see that we have workflow template, and it says create with no template at first, but I can choose the dropdown. And it's going to give me all of my currently active available templates. Now, the first thing I notice here is those 3 templates that we built are not in this dropdown. All right, so I'm looking for the important information workflow, the onboarding workflow, and the client touches workflow, and I don't have those available. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to go exit out of this. In the top right-hand corner, I'm going to choose my name and then manage your account. Once this page loads, I'm going to go back to manage templates, down to the bottom and choose workflow templates. Now we put WW in front of these workflows, so I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of all of my templates, and you're going to see that I have 3 at the bottom here. So there's client touches, important information, and onboarding workflow. So easily enough, all I have to do is just go to the action button and choose edit. And then it brings it back up where I can now change the status to active. And this is going to give me the ability to actually use these workflows. So I'm going to do the same thing with these other 2. And then our last one, we got our onboarding workflow. Going to use the action button, choose edit, go to the status, then choose active. Perfect. All right. So again, this is the list of templates. So we saw in the previous video, this is where all of the actual templates are stored, and you can use those whenever you want. You also see that I have some labeled as inactive. So maybe you have workflow templates that you don't currently want used, but you still don't want to delete them. So that's where you're going to manage that. So let's go back over to the left-hand side. So left navigation menu, click on workflows. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to choose new workflow in the top right-hand corner. And then we're going to go to workflow template. And now you're going to see I have those 3 workflow templates available. So the first one we're going to do is the important information workflow. So I'm going to select that template. And next you'll notice that it goes to the workflow name. Now you can actually edit this however you want. So for instance, we just put the WW in front of this so we would know which ones were part of this series. If I didn't want that part of the name, I could erase that. You can even type in the contact's name from here. So if this is going to be for George McFly, is who we're going to use today, I can put his name. Now keep in mind, typing the name in the name of the workflow doesn't actually link the contact to the workflow yet. I'm going to show you how to do that after we add this. And then again, from the video last week when we talked about the information of choosing an owner and a category, that information will automatically fill out once you actually add the choose the workflow template. So those will fill out if we chose it in our template. If not, you can always choose who the owner is going to be and override what you chose from the template. And again, if there's a target date, you can choose that. I'm just going to choose today as the target date, so when we're starting it, and I'm going to hit create new workflow. Okay, all right, and that automatically adds it in. You'll see on our workflows page, we have important information workflow for George McFly, and I can actually open that up. And then we can see here's all the individual tasks that need to get done for this contact. So again, we have steps and we have tasks. This is just a one-step workflow, so it more so acts like a checklist itself. It's one step, and then we have those 7 tasks, and each one of them needs to get done, and it doesn't necessarily matter what order they get done in. Now, the one thing missing is I don't have a contact link to it other than I put the name George McFly right here. So what I actually want to do is I can actually go up to the top here and choose linked contacts. And I can search, we'll search for McFly, and I'm going to find George. So we're going to select George McFly and link that contact. Now you'll notice I can actually add multiple contacts to this workflow. So if I did want to add another McFly, so we'll add Linda McFly, I can link her as well, and both are actually attached to this one workflow. Now, for this instance, I'm only doing important information for George, so I'm going to remove Linda. But I do want you to keep in mind, if you attach multiple contacts to one workflow, it means that they are on the same steps and tasks at the same time. So if you need separate workflows, if they're going to be at different parts of the process in different times, you need to create a separate workflow for each contact. So I'm going to go and close this, and now we actually have George linked up. I'm just going to refresh this page. And you'll see up the top now it says George McFly right up here is linked as a contact. Now I'm going to go back to the left-hand side and click on Workflows again because I want to show you some available options that are actually on this page. And you'll see that there's actually an action drop-down, and you can actually see I can do other things like delete the workflow. And actually I'll show you more options as well as we get further into the workflows. Again, that's the first place you can go to actually add a workflow. So the workflows page on the left-hand side and then new workflow. Next, let's go ahead and add the onboarding workflow. And so what I want to do is I'm going to go to the today page and I'm going to check out to see if I have any upcoming onboarding appointments. So it looks like we do have one for Dwight right here. I'm actually going to click the upcoming button on my calendar to see what's upcoming for probably about a week from now. And so I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. And it looks like right here on March 31st, we have an onboarding meeting for Henry Jones. All right, so let's go and add that onboarding meeting workflow to Henry's contact record. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm just going to actually click on the name of the contact. It takes me directly into Henry's contact record. And over to the left-hand side, I can click on More. And I can go down to the workflow section. So this is the layer of workflows specifically for Henry Jones. Now this page will show me all of the workflows that Henry is currently attached to. And right now he doesn't have any current workflows. So what I can do is I can choose Add Workflow on the right-hand side, and it gives me 2 options. Now you'll see there's Create New Workflow and Link Existing Workflow. The difference between those is if I choose Create New Workflow, I'm starting a brand new workflow, just how we just recently added that important information workflow. If I choose Link Existing Workflow, it's going to give me the options of all the already activated workflows that are in my database. So if I already happen to add a workflow and didn't attach a contact, this is another way you can come in and go into the contact and choose to link that contact to that already existing workflow. But we're actually going to just choose Create New Workflow from here, and we get the same pop-up. So this time we're actually going to do the onboarding workflow for Henry. And now, the one thing I want you to remember is he had an actual activity set for his onboarding appointment on the 31st. So for this specific workflow, we're going to choose the target date as the 31st. Because the 31st is the important date that the whole workflow is going to be pivoting around. So everything is either before or after a certain amount of days, weeks, or months, that actual target date. So he had an activity of the 31st. I'm going to make the target date the same day. And now I can come down here and choose Create Workflow. And that automatically links Henry to it because we were in his contact record. So if I go back over to the left-hand side and all the way down to the left navigation menu and click on Workflows, I'm now going to see two workflows here. We have the onboarding, and then we still have the important information workflow. And the last workflow we're going to add is we're actually going to add it in the contact record, but another way. And this is actually my favorite way and actually the most used way to add workflows into the system. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to use Bruce Wayne this time. So I'm going to use my recently viewed icon, and we're going to click on Bruce Wayne, go directly into his contact record. And so we're going to do the client touches marketing workflow for this contact. So if I go to the top right-hand corner here and I choose my quick add icon, it's going to give me the option to add something into the database. And you'll notice down at the bottom, I can choose workflows. And again, we get that pop-up. Now, the benefit of choosing the quick add, and especially from a contact record, is it's automatically going to link up the contact record that you're inside of. So keep in mind, if I was not inside a contact record and I went to the quick add, I would still get this pop-up, but I would then have to go in and after the fact link the contact to it. So this time we're going to actually choose the client touches marketing workflow. I believe we're going to choose today for this as well. So the target date is going to be today because everything for this workflow happens after the start of it. And now I'm going to choose create new workflow. Perfect. All right, so this takes us directly into the workflow itself. And if I go back over the left-hand side, I can still see all of the active workflows. So here's our 3 active workflows that we just created. And again, we added those 3 different ways. First way was from this page. The other 2 ways were from the contact record, one of them being in the workflows page of that contact, and the last one being through the quick add button up here to the top right-hand corner. So let's actually go through some of these, and we're going to start with the important information workflow right here. So I'm going to click on this. And what this is a workflow that's reminding us of different tasks that need to get done of the information we need for George McFly. And so what I can do is I can actually go down the line and see, did I get the contact addresses, and then hit the complete button. I want to make sure I'm actually getting that information. So let's actually go into the contact. So I'm going to click on George's name, and we're going to click on his name from here. Now this takes me directly to the active workflows, but what I do want to show you is if you go to the main page of George McFly, I can scroll down just a little bit and you're going to see the open workflow tasks. So since there's only one step, it lists all the actual tasks that of the currently open step. So let's see what information we have. Contact addresses, let's check that out. And without moving from this page, I can actually just click the contact card button right up here. And I can see that, hey, we have an address, we have an email address, and we have a phone number. So those are 3 items that I already have. So let's actually mark those off. And so we have the contact addresses. I'm going to choose the complete button to the right-hand side. I have the phone numbers. I'm going to hit complete on that one. And then I also have an email address. I can complete that out as well. And now I only have 4 tasks left. So I have the date of birth. I can scroll up. And looks like I don't have a date of birth. So that's going to be an item I need to reach out for, and also a tax ID number. I don't have that as well. And then referral source name and miscellaneous information. So also here I don't have, I do have right here, Martin McFly is the one who referred us. So I do have that in my database, and I can check that off the list. So you'll see the benefit of this important information workflow is that it's actually reminding me for different tasks of information I need to get done. So I have a more complete database and actually have information I can use to better my clients. Let's go back to the left-hand side to our workflows. And so that was just a 1-step workflow, and that's going to be ongoing because I still need to reach out to George to get that information. So it's going to be sitting there for just a little bit until I reach back out to him. Next, let's move on to the onboarding workflow. So I'm actually going to click on onboarding workflow, and it's going to take me directly into the workflow. So again, like we talked about in the past two videos, you have your steps and your tasks. So your steps are always one at a time. So I have confirm meeting, meeting prep, and follow-up, but I can only work on the tasks that are under the confirm meeting step because that is the actual workflow, or sorry, that is the actual step and tasks that you can do right now. You'll see over here that is assigned to Jack Burton. Here we go. And over to the right-hand side, we have a complete button. So for this instance, let's pretend that we're Jack. We come in here and we see, oh, I need to reach out to Henry Jones to confirm his meeting. And then once I do that, I call up Henry. Over to the right-hand side, I can hit the complete step or complete task button. And since there's only one task in that step, it then brings up my options for the outcomes. So remember, the outcomes are what we created in the actual template itself. And so these are the options of what could possibly happen once each step has been completed. So I'm going to choose my step outcome, and you'll see I have three options. When I talked to Henry, did he cancel, did he reschedule, or did he confirm? So in this instance, let's choose that Henry confirmed, and then I can put in some notes. Say, spoke with Henry. You know, you might be a little more detailed with your notes, but I do also want to point out the step notes should mainly be about the process itself. This isn't really a place for meeting notes that you're having with the contact. These are things just about the process. So for instance, if Henry had to reschedule, you can also put the notes in that Henry rescheduled and maybe the date, just so you can track what actually is going on during this process. And so I'm actually hit complete step button down here to the bottom. And you'll see it now takes me to step 2, the meeting prep. And this step has 3 active tasks in it now. One's assigned, or 2 of them are assigned to the client service team, and 1 of them is just assigned to Tucker McLaughlin. And again, from this page inside the workflow, it doesn't matter what user I'm logged in as. I can see all of the tasks who are assigned to each of the users, teams, or even the different roles. And we'll get into roles in the next workflow, and I'll show you how that works as well. But over here, you see I have to prep the conference room. And the descriptions, I also want to point out, you can hover over the task, and the description of that task will pop up. And you'll notice, again, because of the target date and all the information we put in the template, this step is not, or this whole step is not due until the 31st. So all the tasks are also due till the 31st because that's actually the same day as the meeting itself. And so if the conference room was prepped, we can hit complete over here to the right-hand side. And then let's see, the paperwork was completed. We can complete that step. And then lastly, all we're waiting for is the paperwork to be submitted. So there's still one task. You'll see these first 2 have the status of completed. 1 is still in progress. And then as soon as that is done, we can hit the complete. And then just like before, we get the pop-up for the available outcome. Now in this case, what I want to show you is, let's say that we didn't get to the point of submitting the paperwork because maybe Henry had to reschedule. So in this case, we can actually choose the step outcome, and you'll see we have client reschedules or met with client. So I'm going to choose client reschedules and put in some notes. Reset meeting for following week. And I'm going to hit complete step. And because this is pushing back to confirm meeting, it reopens up step 1. And here we go. Now we had to confirm. The one thing we do need to change is going to be the target date. So because we set the target date manually to be the same day as the meeting day, I'm going to go up here to the top and choose the target date and say, now let's say he's coming on the 6th. So I'm going to choose the 6th. Now keep in mind, the steps I'm skipping here is I didn't go into the calendar yet and change the calendar activity. I'm just changing the target date here. But you would need to, if you did add it manually, go in and change the calendar activity as well. Now I'm going to update this workflow. Now the reason I'm changing the target date is now what I want you to notice, so I'm going to refresh this page so everything refreshes on it, is that the due dates for the steps have now changed. Now this is due on the 5th, one day before the actual target date itself. And then as soon as I go through, I'll see everything is actually pivoting around that important target date. So all my due dates stay up to date and everything gets done on time. And again, back over to the left-hand side, I can click on workflows, and I'm going to see these important dates over here. So right now, this is actually ordered by current step due. So I have 4/5, and then something's actually due on the 30th, so I can actually sort it, so the earliest. And I know that the client touches is due before I need to work on this actual onboarding workflow. So it's actually ordered in the date order when you click on current step due. And that's going to be very beneficial to make sure nothing's falling through the cracks. So for instance, if it was April 1st already, and I look in here and there's still a current step due on the 30th, it means somebody didn't get their steps or their task completed, and I can go in and check to make sure everything continues to move forward. All right, so the third workflow we're going to go into is going to be our client touches marketing workflow. So I'm going to click on that. And now it opens up, and again, you'll notice that the target date was the 23rd. That was today. And that my due dates, this is not due till the 30th. And then again, I have a few months later, we have 6/23, which is going to be 3 months later. Then there's a step that's due 4 months later, and then a step that's due a step that's due 6 months later. And so all of those, same order. So again, it's one step at a time. And as you complete the task, you get to move forward. And so let's say that we did go in and we completed the draft welcome letter. So we're going to hit complete on that. And we also sent the welcome letter. I'm going to hit complete on that. And then our outcomes pop up. And so what I'm going to choose is welcome letter sent letter, put in my minimal notes here, and then complete that step. It moves us forward to blog post. And then we can continue to move down the line. And so again, you'll see that this is due to the client service team and the sales team. One thing I do want to point out is that these are all assigned to teams, which is great. And actually, I did want to point out the roles. And again, I will get into that and show you where that's set up. Actually, I believe that was actually set up in our other workflow. But the teams that we did bring up in our other option is a great option to assign to teams. Because if you do happen to have turnover in your office, instead of having to go through and reassign all of the tasks and everything inside all of the workflow templates and the active workflows, if you assign tasks to teams, all you have to do is just go in and change who the team is assigned to, and it automatically updates across the board, which is very beneficial. Now, other places you can actually see workflows, and again, was from the contact record. So if I click back up on Bruce's name and click again, it takes me into the workflow section of his record. But again, if I go back to Bruce's name here, I'm going to see a list of all of the active tasks in the currently open step. So remember, even though he has 4 steps in this workflow, it's only showing me 1 step at a time. So here are the 4 tasks that need to get done specifically for Bruce. And again, I can do the same thing for Henry and for George because they also have workflows going as well. Now, the one thing I like to point out is on this page. Now, I want to pretend like, let's say I have 50 active workflows right now. How do I know what I need to get done? I don't want to go through and open up every single workflow to see what needs to get done, because that's actually going to waste some time opening it up, looking through, see what needs to get done. So what I'm actually going to do is go to the Today page. And over here, I'm going to see on the right-hand side, I have 7 active workflow tasks. If I click on this button, it's actually going to show me all of the tasks that are assigned to the user that I'm logged in as. And so, again, these are just the tasks. So over here on the right, I have to confirm previous receipt of letter, and that's not due till the 23rd. Oh, sorry, the 23rd of June. I can even sort by the task due date from here, and you'll see those are ready to go. And all I have to do is, let's say if I did that for Bruce, I can hit the complete button and it falls off my list. And again, these are just the items that are assigned to me. Other places that you can see tasks is actually going to be on the calendar itself. And so I'm actually going to do this one so we can find a date that's closer to the day. So the date of birth. And I do want to show you, you can always go in and edit an individual task over here. And you can manually choose a due date for the task if you wish as well. So let's choose, what should we do? Today is the 23rd. So we'll put in that and update our task. And so now we actually have 3/23/17 over here for this task that needs to get done. If I go to my calendar over the left-hand side, and I'm going to look at today's date, what I'm going to see is I'm going to look at the all-day events. Now, right now it's not showing anything, but if I go to my actions and I choose to show workflow tasks, it's going to show me the tasks that are due. So right here, due date of birth. So that's actually the task that needs to get done. Even though it's showing on the calendar, it's not a calendar item. This is actually just a reminder. So if I happen to click on this task that says an all-day event, it takes me directly into the workflow. And this is where I can actually go in and complete it. So I can hit complete right on that once I reach out to George and get that information. All right, let's go back to the workflows on the left-hand side because I want to show you a few more items that you can actually do with the workflows from this page. Now, if I go over the left-hand side and I click on the left navigation menu over here, you'll see that I actually have a few more options. And so I can actually choose, we'll work with this one. You'll see that I can actually link the contact after the fact from here, link to an opportunity or to a seminar. And so if you do work with opportunities and seminars, you can link these up, which is really beneficial, especially if you have like a seminar workflow template of everything that needs to get done for prep for the seminar. You have that and you know exactly what seminar it's going to be linked to. My favorite thing about this action button is right here is the workflow checklist report. So if I actually click on the workflow checklist report, and I did it for the important information workflow for George, it downloads a PDF and I can open it up. And right here, it actually prints out my workflow and I can see the individual tasks. So this is gather the following contact information and here's the tasks. And you'll notice for the ones that have been done in the system, they have an X on them already. So if you do any kind of meetings where you need to print out some reports of the workflows that you're currently working on, that's a great place you can go to print out that PDF. Also, let's do the same thing for here. I'm going to show you the one for the client touches marketing workflow. Open that one, and you'll see because this one has multiple steps, it separates them out by step as well. So I can see that this first step was done. Step 2 we're currently on right now, and then actually shows that only one task was done from that. And over the right-hand side shows who it was assigned to. So that's kind of like a hidden gem in these workflows. Not that we're suggesting that you need to print all your workflows out because you see the exact same information from your computer here. But if you do need to actually have a PDF or some sort of printed form of workflows, that is the best way to go in and get that information. All right, let's complete one of these workflows and I can show you what they look like after the fact. So I'm going to go into the onboarding workflow. And we're still in confirm meeting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rush through this one. And you'll also notice that I have a complete step button. If I ever hit complete step, it completes all of the open tasks automatically. So I'm going to put meeting confirmed. Say spoke with Henry again. And we'll complete that step. Moves us to the second step. Now we're on the meeting prep. Say we got these done as well. Again, I can just hit the complete step button. And it completes all the open tasks. First, we got to choose our outcome. So we met with the client, met with Henry. Again, I'm just putting some minimal notes on these ones. And then lastly, it takes us to the follow-up step. And we can go through and we can complete out these. And I can do these also from the tasks. Complete 1, 2, 3. And again, you can always just hit complete step if everything was done. And now this one, I'm actually going to choose the follow-up is complete, and this marks it as finished. So, follow-up done. Henry is happy. There we go. And that completes it out. You'll see in the top right-hand corner, it says this is now 100% complete. If I go back to my workflows page, you'll notice that this workflow is no longer on this active workflows. So again, this is the page that only shows my active workflows, but I can always come over to the right-hand side and click on complete, and this shows all of the completed workflows that we've ever done in the database, and it actually shows them in the order again you can sort. Now this one actually probably has quite a few workflows, so it's going to load up. Here we go. So again, like here's all of the workflows that we've done. That's one way to report on them, but a better way is more so you're going to be focusing on an individual contact. So I'm going to go into Henry's record. And so we're going to use our recently viewed and go back into Henry's record. And there's two places where you're going to see the completed workflow. The first one is going to be back on the left-hand side if I click on More, and then I click on Workflows. Just like the main page, this has an option to show all of the completed workflows that Henry has been part of by clicking on the Complete button. You can see them. Most likely you won't have as many onboarding for one client that we've done, mainly for just for presentation purposes. So you'll see one onboarding workflow, maybe one important information workflow. You can go into it and actually see when everything was done. It gives you all that information. So down here at the bottom, I can click on it. It takes me directly into that workflow still. And I can see here's all the step notes of what happened on this step. And all those notes that you put, you can actually see what happened and maybe if they rescheduled, why, as long as you're notating that information. The second place that these completed workflows will show is it actually makes a note at the time of completion. So on the left-hand side, if I go back to the layers and this time choose Notes under Henry, I'm going to see right here that the workflow, onboarding workflow, was completed. It tells me right here, today at 11:33 a.m. is when it was completed. Shows me when the target date was, and I can actually make comments on it like a regular note, and I can always click right here on the workflow name to go back into the workflow so I can see all of the process notes about what happened, when things were completed. And so it shows that this step was completed on 3/23. I have that information. That was a lot of information on running through the workflows, but what I want you to keep in mind is I'm just going through all the manual entry. So we would love to see you join us again next week for the actual enhancing of workflows, where you're going to see us work with the workflows with automations. So I added an activity and then manually added a workflow. You're going to see some tricks where you can actually have that process automated, so that way it's going to be less work for you. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free and contact us at 1-800-206-5030, or you can always email support@redtailtechnology.com. Thank you and have a great day.